Well, welcome everybody to the Legacy Lounge, and I'm your illustrious host. I'm your host. What am I talking about? See, I'm so excited. I'm using the word illustrious because I'm feeling fantastic and free, full of energy. And I'm happy to be here today to be sharing with you ideas and concepts about legacy, ways for you to grow your legacy, build your legacy, and create a legacy long after you're gone. And we're talking about legacy for a lot of different reasons. It's because now more than ever, people are looking towards the future. What's going to happen? How are things going to unfold? And I'm a big proponent of taking care of humanity, looking after the next generation, caring for the children, and cultivating a space and a place for people to truly want to be a part of this wonderful geocentric collective community that we have on this place called Earth. And so the Legacy Lounge is all about you learning how to build a legacy in your life, one little legacy at a time, one little corner of the world at a time, in a way that most inspires and impacts you. And I bring phenomenal legacy makers and legends onto the show to talk about not necessarily their legacy, but ways for you to build your legacy. And we talk about legacy in general. What does legacy mean? And how can we all be a part of building a legacy that we all want to foster and grow forward? And so our guests are really here to pour into you, to give you the support you need to build a legacy in your life for your children, for humanity around you. And so happy to be here. Happy that you're here, because that means that you care about others than just yourself, and you're thinking on a bigger scale. And that means you're in the very right place, because we love to talk big scale. We love to talk about impact. And so our guest today, an incredible individual from the other side of the globe. I love it so much that we are bringing in legacy makers from around the world, not just people who look like me, not people who act like me or doing what I do, people that are really making a difference in their own corner of the world, doing something that is truly passionate for them, and being examples for you to step into your own legacy. So Joe St. Jean is a consultant, coach, and is the founder of People Not Numbers consultancy and podcast show. Fantastic show. Love his show. He's also founded a network called 11 that gathers the best professionals in people engagement. And you're going to love listening to him talk about that. Joe is based in Dubai and comes with 16 years in the GCC, Europe and Asia. He's an expert in retail operations management, luxury, omnichannel, digital adaptation, customer and employee engagement. He has an incredible mind with an incredible vision of how we can make an impact on the future. And I'm so blessed to welcome him to the show. Come on in, Joe. Come on into the lounge.
Hello, JB. How are you?
Many blessings to you. So just so our viewers know that you, in your diligence and dedication, you're up, it's just about 3 a.m. and you're on the show and you're here ready, spry, excited, ready to share. And I just want to say thank you for doing that.
I'm really happy. I might have the voice of of an opera singer, but I'm very happy to be here with you today. I love the show that you're doing, and it's important that we can contribute the way we can with our own means to what you're building, because what you're building means something to me.
Thank you so much. Well, you know what's great is right before the show, you and I were chatting about the word legacy, and you have a different idea, different adaptation. And I said, yes, talk about it, because everyone does view legacy different. And it's interesting how we're coded or we're predisposed to have a certain idea about what legacy means. The show is really about breaking that down and even pulling back some of the curtain around legacy. Tell me, in your opinion, when I say, and I asked you to be in the Legacy Lounge, what did it mean for you?
So, I mean, I think it meant what it means to you, but it is true, JB, that I don't really use the word legacy. Because I don't like it for a very specific reason, and it's linked to me. It's my own understanding of the word. For me, legacy is a word that I understand with a component of my own name. So, for example, when people talk about a legacy, what I understand from them is that they want their name to be there for a long time, or the name of their company to be there, associated to actions, okay, associated to impact. That's great. But it's linked to their name. I want people to remember me. And I have to say that I don't really care of people remembering me, to be.
Like the Fred
I,
Montgomery Memorial Hospital, that doesn't really mean anything to you.
no, I mean, and really not at all. What is so important to me is the impact. So I have the dream to impact 100 million people, and this is a big number. And I
Yes.
hope that I will be doing this through a TV series in the future. This is what I'm working on right now. But it's really not about José Jean, and José Jean is famous for the rest of the history of the world. Um, what I dream of is to have an impact. When I can have an impact with one person, when I can have an impact with one individual, and I have this privilege to make someone smile, change his day, change her day, um, change their reality, change the way they do meetings, they talk to each other. For me, this impact is what I'm looking for. The rest is not really something that makes me get up in the morning. So I'm happy to hear that when you use the word legacy yourself, it's for a different. I mean, it's for the same purpose as I like to use the name impact. So I hope that that makes sense to you. But I wanted to discuss that with you because your name is the Legacy Lounge, and I wanted to clarify what for me legacy really meant.
Well, it's important that you do share that because I think that and I said this to you, if you're thinking it, someone else is thinking it. So we might as well be talking about it. What does legacy mean? And I do see your point. For example, I think Michael Jackson left behind a legacy. He,
Yeah.
of his music and of his impact, but he also left behind, for example, a legacy of inspiration for other singers or musicians or dancers. And Fred Montgomery left a legacy of his hospital, wherever that may be, for example. But
Yeah.
there are probably a lot of people who go to that hospital who have no idea what the name of it is or who the person is that it's named after. They just know that that hospital saved a family member's life, or there was something phenomenal that happened in their life due to that hospital. And I think about Nelson Mandela, for example. He said a famous quote that so many of us have been impacted by, but many people don't know that he was the one who said it. They just know that famous quote of his.
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe, and this is a great discussion, you take from someone's legacy what means most to you. Maybe it's, I want to be a singer. Maybe they saved my life. Maybe it's a quote that makes me work a little bit harder. And that's an interesting idea when you think about legacy. Do people derive from someone's legacy what actually matters most to them?
Yeah, no, it's a very fair point. I mean, this is why I like what you do so much. This is why I like the Legacy Lounge, because in that use, legacy is exactly what I'm striving for, and I think that yes, people will take what is meaningful to them through the work that I do and through the work that you do. So in that sense, viva
Bingo, right?
legacy.
And isn't it also interesting, for example, let's go back to Fred's hospital, maybe the gentleman who was the cement layer, he worked for a year and fed his family because Fred Montgomery's hospital was being built, and he had a job for a year.
Yeah,
And that meant the world to him and his family because every day he got to go to work. And then once the hospital was open, Mary Ellen got to go every day and be a nurse. And so it's actually quite interesting that from the beginning, when somebody thought it up and all the blueprints had to be made, or from the moment Michael Jackson thought up a song and then all the instruments got to be involved, and the orchestra and the players and the dancers, that this whole idea of legacy really has these massive tentacles that go out before, during, after,
yeah,
and almost infinity. Like for a long, long, long time. It will be centuries before we forget Michael Jackson. It'll be decades before the Montgomery Hospital ever, maybe shuts down. And so I'm always fascinated when people think up ideas that turn into be legacy in so many different facets. Tell us a little bit about your idea, because now I'm intrigued about
Yeah.
how you're creating legacy before, during, and after.
Alors, you know I'm French, so I start my sentence with alors, which is so.
So beautiful and amazing.
Anyway, I'm not sure that I'm thinking of legacy when I'm doing anything. I,
Mm,
I'm not thinking of that. I'm not thinking of what it could have as an impact in the future. I do believe that legacy is created when I manage to touch, or anyone manages to touch, something that goes way beyond the transaction.
mm-hmm,
That there is beyond what I do, something that is going to touch people at the core, and something that is deep down much more important than what I do. It's something that resonates with the spirit, the soul, the mind, the values um, of people, something that matters to them at the time they see my work, or they see what I do, or they are in touch with me. And that can create a legacy. So, whether it's before, during, or after, I deeply believe that if my work comes from a place um, of depth, comes from an emotional space, something that is not necessarily linked to the what I do, not even linked to the how I do it, but deep down inside, maybe why I do it,
mm-hmm.
or what it triggers in others, then I really believe that we have a chance, and I have a bigger chance to have this long lasting impact, or have this impact that is deeper than just what I have done. That's something that can be linked to the lives of people who see me or who are in touch with my work.
And it really is synonymous with your brand, People Not Numbers, because you want to instill emotion, thought, transference, energy. You want people to
Mhm.
take action. And I think ultimately that is what legacy is. It's not just an idea. Nobody sat down and just decided to think. I'm going to think
Yeah,
about being a legacy maker, and I'm going to think about it a lot, and I'm going to really think about it. And when I think about it so much, I'm just going to keep thinking about it.
yeah.
Obviously nothing unfolded. And so what you're saying is so fundamental, because it's in the process of the mind, the transformation, the heart, the experience, the connection, that actually instills, what would you say, memory, ambition, outgoingness, thought.
Um, First of all, when it touches emotionally, people emotionally. So when it provokes something that is um, a feeling, something that is felt rather than is just consumed or used. Um, and the deeper the connection is, the longer the legacy is. And the mystery about that for me is that you don't decide. I mean,
Mm,
as the maker of whatever you do, as the person who to whom people are exposed for a minute, a second, or a workshop, or a year coaching, you don't decide. Legacy is not something that you craft and you put it there and you think it's going to stay forever. No, I mean, if people don't like it, or if it doesn't resonate with people, it doesn't. And sometimes it's not because your work is bad, or because you're bad, or because you're not the right person to do something, or whatever. There is a matter of, and there is a mystery here, and I like it. I
mm,
like it when we don't know um, what's behind what we do, when we don't understand the full mechanics. Maybe it's not the right time for people to listen to what you're doing. Maybe it's not the right moment for them to receive the message that you're trying to send across. I know that I have some projects that I've been working on for 3 years now,
mm-hmm,
more than that, 6 years. And I just presented it yesterday to someone who might take it And it's the first time that someone is thinking, wow, this is exactly what we need to, to allow our people to work remotely. I want to open remote work for people on the front line in retail and hospitality, which is virtually impossible, but I want to make it happen. I want these people
Mm-hmm.
to have a normal life. And it's been 6 years. 6 years trying to talk about it. I didn't put pressure on myself, but I believe in that project. And yesterday, literally, I found someone who said, this is exactly what we should be trying to do. And this would be a first. So I like
And
the
that
fact that,
happened so you could talk about it on this show.
yeah, it's crazy. Now, if you think about it, it's crazy.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you don't choose. I don't think that I chose and I will ever be able to choose what message or what legacy I will leave. I just need to be someone who's trying to make an impact or make a difference in the best of my abilities, and happens what happens. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I like about legacy, to be truly transparent about it.
And it's like you're on the adventure, because I agree. It's, in maybe the traditional definition, your legacy unfolds when you pass or when you die or when you transition to the next life. And so if you feel that, people become legends or build a legacy after they pass, that's a very interesting phenomenon to think that
Right.
that only happens when you're no longer here. And so that started sort of the thinking for me around legacy is, what do I leave behind? If I wasn't here anymore, would everything I built be for naught because I wasn't
Yeah.
here to drive the bus anymore? And so it made me start to think that legacy should not be about when you're no longer here. It's like, what
Right.
can you do while you're
Right.
here? And be on that journey, like that wonderful journey that you're talking about, that we don't necessarily get to orchestrate every single minute of the day, because it is a journey and it is unfolding.
And you use the word that I adore, which is adventure. This is how I want to live my life. I don't manage every day. Sometimes my life is far from being an adventure in my perception. But the idea of an adventure, of living an adventure and embarking into an adventure, helps me accept and embrace more than accept, really embrace what happens and what's happening in my life. An adventure is something great when we have obstacles to overcome. If I tell you now, go down to the lobby of the hotel where you are and do a tour of your block walking, it's not an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You will be walking, probably looking at your mobile, maybe. It's not an adventure. But if I tell you, reach that point within that time frame, or go to climb that mountain, which is the typical example, or go on a boat and reach that destination, this is an adventure, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And some incidents will happen along the way that will force you to go beyond what you thought you were capable of doing. And for me, this is where legacy or big impact is possible, is when you embark into something that is, whatever it is, and that you decide to overcome a massive obstacle that is going to be in your way, and therefore um, use some resources that you didn't even know you had.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is this adventure, and because there is this obstacle, I truly believe that at that moment in time, there are possibilities that people receive your message, because you had to dig into something that is much deeper than what you were capable of doing initially.
Exactly. You had to ask yourself what if you're capable of, or you had to push. I sometimes used to say, like, I was one of those people that had to cross the line to see where the line was, and then I'd like scooch my way back. Oops, there's the line. Okay, I just crossed it. Let me move back here. And I was very conscientious when my children would do the same thing, because I'd be like, oh, I know where they learned it from. There they are, crossing the line to see where the line is. Let's get back on this side of the line. But it is interesting that we have to push the seams almost, and like split the seams of
Yeah.
our own understanding of who we are and what we're capable of, to realize that we can reach that next level of ourselves, which is really, I think, where a lot of us find legacy. It's not necessarily in the building we built, or the, monument, or the empire, or the bank account. I think it's in that next plateau that was outside of what we thought we were capable of.
Right. I truly believe it. And in what you're saying, something is striking me is that it's more about, and it seems a bit cliche, but it doesn't matter. It's more about who I am and who you
Mm-hmm.
are, and through what you do will perspire who you are. It's not about what you've done. It's not about this building that you were talking about. It's about what it translates about and what it says about who you were or who you are today. That that gives it a chance to impact people and to create this legacy and to create that resonance that goes beyond language, that goes beyond gender, that goes beyond
Mm-hmm.
culture, religion, because this is what we're trying to do. I mean, ultimately, we're not trying to touch. I'm not trying to touch bald people with a beard who are Franco-Lebanese and who are 46 years old. I'm trying to I'm trying to make an impact somehow, or to touch or to resonate with people who don't sometimes have a clue of what I'm saying because they don't speak my language.
Yeah, and it's really cool too because, for example, I'm a white woman who lives in Canada. You live in Dubai. You said you're Franco Lebanese, two totally different ends of the spectrum. And yet, we love the idea of speaking the same language through action, through adventure, through results, through
Mm.
impact. And that becomes our common language. That becomes the thing that makes us feel like we're connected to each other, which is quite fascinating, right? Because we've been taught to be around people who look like us, who act like us, who talk like us. And yet, I think the new currency of success is really about people who resonate like us.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, to dig rapidly on this point, for me, it's not comfortable to be with people who are not like me. I mean, I can say it, and I speak for myself. I'm not. Of course, it's much more comfortable for me to be with people who think like me, have the same values, etc. But I grew recently with the idea that it's so important to have people who don't think like me, who don't act like me, who don't have the same opinions that I have.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that I believe that it's important to have people who really don't think the way I think. I don't think like Donald Trump, um, but I think it's important that we have people who think like that because it makes us think again. It makes us
Mm-hmm.
rework on our work. It makes us confirm our ideas or um, or change ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea of diversity and touching people who go beyond the scope of our immediate circle is so important because where is the common ground between Donald Trump and myself?
Mm-hmm.
And probably to find it, I need to dig deeper and I need to do things that would go way beyond our differences. And we have a lot of differences with this man, but still, the true legacy for me happens when we manage to go past
Right.
that huge amount of differences that we have sometimes with people. And you I was on a show 2 days ago with you that is
Yes.
called Ignite Humanity. And this is where I think we build legacy, when we touch something that is linked to our humanity,
Right.
something that goes way beyond our beliefs and all the differences that we could have, you and me, even, JB.
You know what's so interesting too is when I think about just this sharing, we are planting a seed of idea, right? Agree, people can agree with us or not. They can be like, that's so
Yeah.
brilliant, or they don't know what they're even talking about. But that little seed will grow in the garden of someone's mind and create a new idea or a new thought for them, for or against, with us or not with us. But it will be a spark of their own thinking instead of really what we don't want is the monotony of people just saying, I'm in line because they told me. I'm voting because that's what they said to do. I'm agreeing because everyone else is agreeing. I think really the legacy comes from allowing and inspiring people to think their own glorious, beautiful thoughts.
Mm. Which is, I mean, it's the most difficult thing.
Right.
I mean,
You're
it's
right,
the
not to
most
conform, right? Or to agree
no, but
necessarily.
because it's a sometimes it can feel a lonely place to be in, and to have your own voice means that somehow you have enough robustness inside
Mhm.
yourself to not collapse if people don't agree with you. So I can be myself. People can tell me that they don't agree with me, but I'm nice enough with myself inside myself to be able to stand for what I think.
Mhm.
And if the work that I do helps people connect with this part of themselves, this part of who they want to be, and it's exactly, I think, what you're trying to do every day, publishing books, interviewing people, featuring others. Um, if we can manage to help people be more gentle with themselves
Mhm.
and therefore be capable to raise their own voice and speak their own voice, I think we won something very, very precious because we contributed to this big mosaic of this big work of art, which is the planet on which we live.
So beautifully said. So beautifully said. Well, folks, this is so what's interesting about the Legacy Lounge is we show up every Thursday at this time and I talk to legends about this idea of legacy. But the show does not end. It just ends for you who are watching it live. We now, Joe and I are going to go backstage and we are going to be meeting again and talking even deeper about this subject. And so the team will put up a link if you'd like to know how to spend some more time with Joe and I for another hour of in-depth where he's going to be answering questions and doing some training and doing some networking. It's a really powerful process that no one is doing it. I call it a pod mastery as we spend the first 30 minutes really pouring into our listeners. And then we head off over into the backstage lounge and you can join us over there. Joe, I'm going to let you jump over into the lounge and I will wrap up with our guests here. I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you, excuse me, so much for being here, and we'll continue this conversation over in the lounge. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Legacy Lounge is designed to get you thinking about your legacy. How can you create a legacy in your life that is going to impact you and impact others? We are here every week for you to hear what we have to say, and if you'd like to know more about the Legacy Lounge, just go to our website and find out a bit more. We are doing incredible things because when it comes to igniting legacy, we need to ignite lives, we need to ignite schools, we need to ignite literacy, we need to ignite possibilities, and we need to ignite humanity. So if you want to know some of the big things that we're up to, please head on over to ignitehumanity.life. You can see how we are making a big impact over there and building schools. And of course, anything you want to know about the Legacy Lounge, you can also head on over to our website and see what we're doing at the Legacy Lounge. We are building schools, and so if you would like to donate, we're always looking for people to be a part of building a legacy for kids and building a legacy for parents and building a legacy for teachers and building a legacy for a community. So please go to ignitehumanity.life/donate and you could be a part of donating to one of our schools. All right. Well, thanks so much for being in the Legacy Lounge. We talk fast, we talk big, we talk in a way that is going to inspire you. So have a great one. We'll see you next week. And if you'd like to join us, we'll see you backstage.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.